Business laws and ethics MCQ oda question bank. Introduction to law and legal system in India. What is the time limit for the Council of States to return a money bill with its recommendations? 14 days. Settlement of disputes outside the court is aimed at avoiding court procedures and finding manual agreeable solutions. The phrase party centric approach in mediation means the control of the process lies with the disputing parties. Which law governs the functioning of Lok Adalats when a case is referred to them by a civil court? Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. What is the defining characteristics of supreme legislation? It cannot be controlled or checked by any authority other than the sovereign itself. What does ratio decidency refer to in a judicial decision? The principle or reason underlying the decision. The Indian Contract Act 1872. What is the legal assumption when parties enter into an agreement related to trade? They contract according to the established conventions or usages of that trade. What has led to the rise of e-contracts? Changes in technology and legal requirements. How are e-contracts generally created and deployed? By a software system that models, specifies, and executes the contract. If an Indian citizen has a legal dispute with a foreign sovereign, what is the typical outcome under Indian law? The Indian citizen cannot sue the foreign sovereign. Rohan, a 17-year-old boy, approached a car dealership and expressed interest in buying a second-hand car. He falsely claimed that he was 21 years old and showed a fake ID to support his claim. The dealership, relying on his representation, sold him the car on credit. After a few months, Rohan refused to pay the remaining amount, claiming he was a minor when the contract was made. The dealership sued Rohan, arguing that he should be stopped from denying his age due to his earlier misrepresentation. Can Rohan be held liable for the payment based on the law of estoppel? No, because the law of estoppel does not apply against a minor. Which of the following best defines ratification in contract law? Approval or confirmation of a previous act or agreement. Who is considered an alien enemy under Indian contract law? A citizen of a country at war with India. Which of the following statements is true regarding an agreement with an alien enemy? It is void unless permitted by the Indian government. Under Indian law, a contract must be performed within a fixed or reasonable time as per the terms or nature of the contract. What does merger in contract law refers to? Absorption of inferior contractual rights into superior rights under a new contract. What does the legal maxim ex nudo pacto non oritur actio mean in contract law? No action arises from a bare promise. Which statement best describes a tripartite agreement? An agreement involving three parties, each with specific roles. In bailment, the goods must be returned or otherwise disposed of according to whose direction? Bailor. Sale of Goods Act 1930. A borrower received goods gratuitously for use for 6 months. The lender demands early return after 3 months. The borrower has made investments relying on the 6 months use, causing loss if returned early. What is the lender's liability? Must indemnify the borrower for loss exceeding the benefit derived. The finder of the goods can sue the owner for compensation only if a specific reward was publicly offered for returning the goods. What is the term for a tacit or implied agreement among prospective bidders to limit competition by refraining from bidding against each other in an auction? Knockout agreement. What does deliverable state mean in the context of a contract of sale? Goods are ready for delivery and the buyer is bound to take delivery under the contract. In case of an agreement to sell, the seller is expected to have the right to sell the goods at the time when property is to pass. Under section 29, a person in possession of goods under a voidable contract can transfer good title to the buyer if the buyer purchases the goods in good faith and without notice of the defect in title. What is the effect if a voidable contract is rescinded before the sale of goods? The buyer cannot get the good title. Under section 24, when does the property not pass to the buyer even though the buyer is in possession of the goods? Buyer rejects the goods within the stipulated time. If an unpaid seller resells the goods after exercising the right of lien or stoppage in transit, what kind of title does the new buyer acquire? A good title, even if the resale is not justified. In a non severable contract, the buyer has accepted part of the goods. What is the legal effect of a breach of condition by the seller? Buyer can only treat it as a breach of warranty. Under what condition can a seller or someone on their behalf bid at an auction? Only when expressly reserved. When goods are put up for sale in lots at an auction, what is the legal status of each lot? Each lot is deemed as a separate contract of sale, the acquisition of which is contingent upon happening or non happening of certain events will be treated as contingent goods. Mr. X has obtained a laptop from Mr. Y by fraud. Mr. X has a voidable title at the option of Mr. Y. Before Mr. Y could resign the contract, Mr. X sold the same laptop to Mr. Z, who purchased it in good faith and without knowledge of the fraud by Mr. X and paid for it. In this case, Mr. Z has a good title to the goods. The rule as to passing of property as laid down in section 20 of the Sale of Goods Act shall happen in when the contract is made. Which of the following is true regarding installment delivery under section 38? Whether a breach repudiates the contract depends on its severity and context. In the absence of a lien over the goods, what is the seller required to do? Return the goods to the official receiver or assignee. Fixing of a definite price in a contract of sale is considered a sine qua non, essential requirement. Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. A check in electronic form is drawn using a computer resource and a digital or electronic signature. Who is always the drawee in a check transaction? The bank on which the check is drawn. The promissory note is defined under which section of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881? Section 4. What type of liability does the maker of a promissory note have? Primary and absolute. An inland instrument is one that is made and payable in India or drawn upon a person resident in India. Which of the following are considered inland instruments? Promissory notes, bill of exchange, or checks drawn or made in India, payable in India. What is an allonge in the context of negotiable instruments? A slip of paper attached to the instrument for endorsement. A bill of exchange is drawn by Ram in Germany, where interest rate is 20%, and accepted by Rahul, payable in France, where interest rate is 5%. After being endorsed in India, the bill is dishonored. If the holder files a case against Rahul in India, what rate of interest should the court apply? 5%. When is a bill of exchange considered to be accepted? When the drawee signs it and delivers it or notifies the holder. Indian Partnership Act 1932. How can a partnership at will be dissolved? By notice from any partner. A secret partner is not known to the public. The liability of a secret partner is unlimited like other partners. Which of the following is true regarding remuneration to a partner? A partner is not entitled to remuneration for participating in business conduct. When must a firm indemnify a partner? For payments or liabilities incurred in ordinary business or in emergencies. According to section 34, when a partner is adjudicated insolvent, he ceases to be a partner from the date of the adjudication order. After attaining majority, the minor must give notice to the registrar regarding his decision. According to Section 48, losses including capital deficiencies are to be paid out of profits, then capital, then by partners individually. The residue, if any, remains after all payments is divided in profit sharing ratio. Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008. Which of the following best describes the legal nature of an LLP? Separate legal entity from its partners. Which of the following is not considered a body corporate under the LLP Act? Cooperative society. Which of the following disqualifies a person from becoming a partner in an LLP? Being an undischarged insolvent. According to Rule 9, a person cannot be appointed as a designated partner if he has been adjudged insolvent within the last 5 years. Who must sign the statement of account and the solvency of an LLP? Designated partners. Factories Act 1948. Which of the following activities does not fall under the definition of a manufacturing process under Section 2, subsection K? Conducting a market survey. A premises where a manufacturing process is carried on without the aid of power and where how many or more workers are employed is considered a factory. 20 or more workers. Which of the following is excluded from the definition of factory as per Section 2, Clause M? Mobile unit belonging to the armed forces of the Union. Under Section 11 of the Factories Act, every factory must be kept clean and free from effluvia from drains, privies, or other nuisances. How often must the floors of every workroom be cleaned as per Section 11? Once in every week. As per Section 11, effective dash must be provided to remove water from the premises. Drainage. Latrines and urinals should be located so that they are conveniently situated and accessible to workers at all times. As per Section 19 of the Factories Act, every factory must provide sufficient latrine and urinal accommodation of prescribed types. Payment of Gratuity Act 1972. If the employer finds the gratuity claim admissible, which form must be issued to the applicant? Form L. Gratuity is calculated for every completed year of service or part thereof in excess of how many months at the rate of wages last drawn? 6 months. The Code on Wages 2019. Under Section 6, who has the authority to fix the minimum rate of wages? Appropriate government. According to Section 58, no suit or prosecution shall lie against the appropriate government or its officers if the act was done in good faith. The minimum bonus must be paid to an employee who has worked for at least how many days in an accounting year? 30 days. Companies Act 2013. Which of the following is not a valid ground recognized for lifting the corporate veil according to the passage? Simplifying financial reporting requirements. If a person is already a nominee in one OPC and becomes a member in another OPC due to the death of its member, how long does the person have to restore eligibility? 180 days. As per Section 32, when must the red herring prospectus be filed with the registrar? At least 3 days before the opening of the subscription list and the offer. Which of the following must be highlighted in the final prospectus when compared to the red herring prospectus? Variations between the red herring prospectus and the final prospectus. What must be printed or stamped prominently on a duplicate share certificate? Duplicate issued in lieu of certificate number. Under Section 41 of the Companies Act 2013, a company can issue global depository receipts in foreign currency only. As per Section 92 of the Companies Act 2013, every company is required to prepare its annual return in which form? NGT 7. In a public company with 4,999 members, what is the minimum quorum required? 15 members personally present. As per Section 153 of the Companies Act 2013, no individual shall be appointed as a director of a company unless he has been allotted a director identification number or such other number as may be prescribed. Both financial controllers and operation controllers are involved in budgeting, forecasting, and financial reporting. Which of the following is not included in the definition of key managerial personnel under Section 251 of the Companies Act 2013? Independent director. Which section of the Companies Act 2013 provides a member the right to requisition an extraordinary general meeting? Section 100. According to Section 255 of the Companies Act 2013, who are deemed to be the first members of the company? Subscribers to the memorandum of the company. Which of the following is essential for a person to be considered a member of a company under Section 255? Agreeing in writing and having the name entered in the register of members. Under Section 105 of the Companies Act 2013, a proxy can be appointed by a member. Which section of the Companies Act 2013 deals specifically with proxies? Section 105. Which of the following business is generally considered an ordinary business at an AGM? Appointment of statutory auditor. Which of the following companies is not required to hold an AGM? One-person company. Business ethics and emotional intelligence. Which of the following attributes of emotional intelligence involves the ability to control impulsive feelings and behaviors? Self-management. Corporate responsibility refers to a business's responsibilities towards its employees, customers, clients, and sometimes board of directors. Which of the following is not typically considered a key success factor? Tax depreciation. Which of the following best reflects integrity in decision making? Taking decisions fairly, free from personal gain motives.